Welcome to Tucker Carlson Today. We're about to interview Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. Of all the 435 members of the 177th Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene is probably the name you've heard most, but the person about whom you know the least. When we told people we were interviewing Marjorie Taylor Greene today, the response was universal. You can't do that. You can't interview Marjorie Taylor Greene. People will get mad. But of course, we can interview anyone we want, and we plan to. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an elected member of Congress. She's one of the people who makes your laws. She just got there, so we thought it would be interesting to hear her impressions of the Congress. She's had quite a year. One thing we're not going to ask her about is QAnon, because that's stupid and boring. But if you're interested in QAnon, you've got a whole internet you can read about it on, and we hope that you will. In the meantime, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia joins us now. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me, Tucker.
So you've had quite a year, and you showed up. You were elected by a big margin, a margin that people who believe in democracy, I think, would be impressed by. Mm-hmm. Your constituents supported you. You show up in Washington with a certain set of expectations about what it's going to be like and what you can accomplish, what the Republican Party is. Then you find out the truth. Tell us what you noticed.
Well, I think the first thing to know about me is I didn't run for Congress because I wanted to be in Congress.
Right.
The reason why I ran for Congress is because I was so angry at what Congress wasn't doing or was doing to our country.
Yeah.
And so that's what led me there. It was the first 2 years under President Trump when we had a Republican-controlled House and Senate, and the Republicans failed us. They didn't repeal Obamacare. They didn't defund Planned Parenthood. They didn't build the wall, fund the wall, build the wall, and there was a whole list of things that they didn't do.
Let's just stop with those three things, because those are all big promises.
Yeah.
We're going to defund Planned Parenthood, we're going to build the wall, and we're going to get rid of Obamacare, which passed by a single vote and was never, I don't think, had the majority support for most of its existence. They promised those three things. They didn't do any of them. Were you surprised?
When I got there, I realized what was wrong. Okay, so in the real world, in most of America, where people work every single day, own businesses, build their careers into big corporations, work in small businesses, little companies they love, little restaurants, dry cleaners, landscaping businesses, what America is made of. You see, people get their job done every single day. They work hard, they achieve, they solve problems. No one helps them with these problems. And they're able to do this without recognition, without being on the news, without any kind of special applause. They just do it because that is part of their life and they're used to living that way. And that's the way I've lived all of my life. But when I got to Congress, I found out here's why we're in trillions of dollars of debt. Here's why our country feels like it's crumbling. Yeah. Here's why the business, it's a business, that's what Congress is, it runs the country. This is why this business is failing and failing America, is because most of the people that are there are not qualified to be there. They're people that can only succeed in government or academia, or maybe they're attorneys that couldn't build their career big enough, so they decided to go into politics. Or they're people that just pursued a political career because they love that life or what being a member of Congress gives them. And so when I got to Congress, I realized this is a system that is severely failing the American people, and the American people have no idea how bad it is.
They sound like losers.
I think a lot of them are losers.
That's amazing. So what you discovered wasn't just that they were dishonest or intentionally subverting the system or lying to their constituents, though they may be doing all those things, but that they're just not impressive people.
They're not impressive people, and the other part is they can't relate to real America because they've never functioned in it. They've never succeeded in it. They've never built something and been tested, like owning a business, a small business, where you literally don't know if you're going to survive the next month, and you're doing everything you can to keep all of your employees on your payroll, to meet your rent, to pay your bills, and also to serve your customer and do a good job so that they just come back the next day. Most of those people have no idea what that is like. And that's why they don't appreciate the hard-earned tax dollars that people work so hard for and have to pay to the government. They don't appreciate these people's money because they waste it and throw it away. They spend it on frivolous programs that make them feel good about themselves so they can pat themselves on the back and go back to their district when they're running for Congress again and say, look at me, look at what I did. I funded this. I passed a bill. As if passing a bill is why they should get reelected. As a matter of fact, most of the bills that they pass is why we should not reelect them. So Congress, to me, was a really big disappointment. And then it just set in to the point where I've been pretty disgusted with it. And I believe that Congress needs to be held accountable for every single American. And I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, but Congress needs to be held accountable to the American people.
Wow. I can feel you mean it.
I mean it.
They don't like you either, as you know.
Many of them do not like me.
Because you went to Minneapolis and you threatened riots if the jury didn't reach the verdict that, oh, no, sorry, that wasn't you. Okay, but you said things on the internet or theorized about stuff or had opinions they didn't like, so they literally stripped you of your committee assignments. The Republican Party did that.
No, because I introduced articles to impeach Joe Biden, and then it was directly 2 weeks after that they stripped me of my committees, claiming that they didn't like things that I had posted or said on social media several years before I ever decided to run for Congress.
So the Republicans punished you for introducing articles of impeachment of Biden?
None of them wanted me to introduce those articles of impeachment on Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, I got pushback all the way across the board from my colleagues.
Why?
That's the question I think Americans should ask.
I mean, maybe they thought it wouldn't work or it's a dumb idea or whatever, but why would they be mad about it? Most of the time
they said that. They said, we can't do this. We can't get it done. We're in the minority, so it's impossible. But I don't look at the way Washington, D.C. as the way, I don't say this is how I need to learn to be a member of Congress. As a matter of fact, I look at everything there and I break it down in my mind and I go, this works, but all of this doesn't work. This is a good idea, but all of this is bad. Scratch that. So how I'm serving as a member of Congress is I come in and I go, I know that I have to build to something. Nothing happens instantly. You don't introduce a bill and then pass it 2 weeks later.
Right.
So the Democrats are great at this. And I think this is what Republicans have to do is take a play out of their playbook and make it happen. Take AOC, for example. She introduced the Green New Deal in 2018. Everybody laughed at her, right? We made fun of her, thought it was ridiculous. Ha, 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 AOC, Green New Deal. Well, she has messaged it. She has built it. Now we're in 2021, and the Green New Deal is literally written in every single Democrat bill, and they're about to pass it. They want the Green New Deal. It took her 3 years to build onto it, and so this is what I've been doing. I'm introducing bills that, yeah, they can't pass right now. Articles of impeachment? No, we can't impeach Joe Biden right now. You know what? Here's other things. Introducing defund Dr. Fauci. No, we can't defund him right now, but the man needs to be defunded because he's ruining our country. But this is in legislation, ideas, messaging, and things that need to happen, and they need to be introduced right now because Republicans have to have goals to move towards. And this is what you do in a business. You lay the groundwork, you build it, and you sell it to your customers, and then you deliver it to your customers. And so I'm taking a very strong business approach into Congress and trying to show Republicans this is what we need to be doing because this is what our voters want, and this is what regular people want, and this is what America needs. These are the people that are destroying our country. Joe Biden doesn't deserve to be president. He's absolutely pathetic. The man isn't even smart enough, and his son is some washed up crackhead, and they're a joke. They sold us out to China and Ukraine. This man does not deserve to be president. He's completely easily bought off. So yeah, articles of impeachment, yes, we need to put them in there. And every single Republican should be driving that message all the way home. We should be putting the fear into Nancy Pelosi. We should be putting the fear into Maxine Waters because these are the people that are leading our country right now. And they're also the same people that are tearing it down. And so I've taken a different approach into Congress, and that's it. That is, let's be proactive, let's be aggressive, and let's win something for once instead of just talking on TV and talking on the campaign trail and getting reelected and then doing absolutely nothing, like repealing Obamacare, defunding Planned Parenthood, and not building the wall. They didn't do any of those things. So I want to take this approach in, and the people love it.
If you can't defund Planned Parenthood, which is literally selling baby parts and getting $500 million a year from taxpayers to commit abortion,
yeah,
then what's the point? I agree with you on that for sure. So let's just pause for a second and compare the reaction from Republican leaders to you to the reaction of Democratic leaders to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I think by any rational measurement is far more radical than anything you've ever said, and way dumber, by the way, I should say. And the posture they take toward her is to either ignore her, sort of sigh as if to say, we can't control her, to distance themselves, but they do not attack her, ever. They don't strip her for committee assignments. When she openly attacks people on the basis of the race, she's an open racist,
right?
Unlike you. And they say nothing. And so her influence grows. Why do you think they take a different position toward her from the one, say, McCarthy has taken toward you?
Well, she takes a different approach towards them. So what did she do different? She didn't go in there and say, oh, I've got to be a member of this club. She created her own club called the Squad, right?
Yeah.
And then what did they do? They went out and messaged to the most radical left and saying, here's what we need. We have to beg for forgiveness to the climate gods for all the climate sins that we have committed to the earth. And we have to bow down to Mother Nature and make it all better because it's America that's so bad, right? Meanwhile, China is polluting and destroying everything.
You can't live in Beijing because you get lung cancer in a week.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. And China has no intention of slowing down. Even President Xi said that. He said he's going to ramp up production. He's going to increase net carbon emissions. Why is he doing that? Because he knows Joe Biden is weak, and Joe Biden is a complete fool and is sold out to this whole climate justice theory. So what did AOC do? She went out, she sold it to the people. And she built support among her people that put pressure back. And Nancy Pelosi found out, like, oh, I can't ignore this little twit. I actually have to listen to her. I actually have to bring her in. But Nancy Pelosi is also a different type of leader. She is, I respect her. She's not going to let any of her people go down. Look at Eric Swalwell. Has a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy. He's still serving on the Intel committee. Look at Maxine Waters.
Wait, can we just pause and enjoy that for 1 second?
Sure.
A member of the Intel committee had sex with a Chinese spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fang.
Fang Fang.
That rhymes with something else.
And even leaving aside the hilarity of the name, that's pretty amazing. But lost to history.
It is. It's pretty amazing.
Do you think Pelosi even considered stripping him of his seat on the Intel committee?
She needs everyone. So she's a great strategist, I think. I think she's a very smart leader. She figures out a way, no matter how damaged they are, or how wrong they've been, or Ilhan Omar, who apparently maybe married her brother so he could become a citizen. It's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I heard. And, we've got Maxine Waters, who just loves to invoke racial riots. She's out there, in Minnesota, past curfew, riling them up. Let's burn down another city. That's what Maxine Waters wants. It achieves her policy goals. But Nancy Pelosi is smart. She knows how to keep all these people in place. She knows how to give them exactly what they want. And then what does that do for her? She remains in power, right? And so that's what she does with her crew, and she protects every single one of them. If anybody were to attack one of her Democrat women, do you think that she would allow that? No, she would never allow it. But when women like me, a Republican woman, gets attacked, there's a lot of silence from my conference.
So the leader of that conference, of course, is the minority leader from California, Congressman McCarthy. What has his position toward you been?
You get a lot of communication with him. He's usually more interested in helping out other Republican women like Young Kim or Malliotakis from New York or Salazar from Florida, different types of Republican women than me. Maybe I'm not sure what it is, but I usually don't get much communication. I don't get invited on special trips like to the border, even though I've introduced the strongest border legislation that has been introduced into Congress. It's all of Trump's policies and goes even further. But no, I don't get invited to those kind of things. When the NRCC puts out a letter, they'll have someone like Young Kim sign it, even though she's one of the people that voted to kick me off of committees, so she votes with Democrats, and also enters, she puts and passes, co-sponsors legislation with one of the most radical Democrats from my state, Carolyn Boudreaux, who is I call her a communist Georgia State college professor. And so that's who Young Kim teams up with, but she's a Republican. But these are the Republican women that our GOP has been promoting because they fill the identity politics that the Republican Party thinks they need to play. It's really interesting to me, even though we went through what I consider probably one of the greatest achievements in American history, which is the Civil Rights era, and we learned a great lesson from Martin Luther King about it's the content of our character and not the color of our skin.
Right.
And we overcame all of that, but now we're supposedly systematically racist. But the Republican Party runs into the left's ideology and has to play identity politics, which is a failure. But if you talk to people every single day, regular people, and I talk to them all over the country because I'd rather talk to regular people than listen to pollsters like Frank Luntz, or whatever his name is, Luntz.
Luntz.
But
that'd be Kevin McCarthy's roommate.
Kevin McCarthy's
Were you shocked to learn they share a toothbrush or roommates or whatever?
I was more curious, like, who gets the top bunk and who gets the bottom bunk?
Yeah. Do we have clarity on that?
No, but somebody should find out, right?
So you don't sound like you were surprised to learn
Yes.
that Kevin McCarthy is living with Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz, of course, is a longtime, quote, pollster, doesn't conduct a lot of polls, but he's a strategist to whom McCarthy turns to learn how to message Republican ideas to the country, I think is the word they use. Have you dealt with Luntz? What do you think of Luntz?
I've only listened to him one time, and I was invited for this one messaging session, and it was before I won my general election, before November 3rd. And it was Kevin McCarthy and Tom Emmer, and they had Frank Luntz on there to talk to us about what we should be saying on the campaign trail to win our elections. And this is what Republican voters want to hear. And this is what Republican voters want. And he was telling us all these things. And I sat there and I listened and I was like, is he a Democrat? I mean, I literally questioned it. It was just so moderate and watered down. And at this time, I was like, no, this is not what Republican voters want to talk about. Republican voters are tired of seeing cities on fire from Antifa and BLM riots. Republican voters are fed up with the shutdowns because they can't operate their businesses, but yet we got Nancy Pelosi going in, getting her hair blown out, and then we've got like Governor Newsom having dinners, beautiful dinners at restaurants where most restaurants are shut down in California, and we've got people in New York who haven't left their teeny tiny apartments because they're told that COVID's running around all over the streets is going to murder everyone. This is not what Americans want to talk about, what he was telling us. They want to talk about the real issues. And the real issues is we're losing our country, and the Democrats want socialism. So I didn't hear any of that.
But he didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. No.
So it's almost like he's working for the other side.
It's as if he's so disconnected, or he has this idea, his own idea of what the Republican Party needs to be, which is we're the nicey nice guys, and we want to be friends with all the Democrats, and we want to be able to, hey guys, we'll give you this one and you give us that one, and we'll pass your bill if you pass our bill, and then we'll all go and have drinks together later on. And that is not where we are in this country. Not at all, and the American people know it, and that's why they're so angry and so upset. So that was my one and only time listening to Frank Luntz, and I thought, I don't think I'll ever do one of these sessions again.
So I just want to rewind just a second to your point about identity politics. So identity politics is the idea that all of us are primarily members of a tribe, that we have less in common than we have that's different, and that we identify by our immutable characteristics, our race or our sex or whatever it is. It's clearly the opposite of what the country was founded on. It's out of one many rather than out of many one. And it's wrecking America. It's not sustainable. So Republicans, as an official matter, are totally opposed to it. They're for unifying under a common American identity, non-racial identity. But in real life, you're saying the Republican Party has internalized identity politics.
Absolutely. They're playing it.
You see that a lot?
All the time. I see it all the time. They believe that they need certain identities to say certain messages. Totally ignoring the fact that we're all Americans and that the message should be the same for all of us, right?
It's universal. It's a universal message.
Because I don't know about you, Tucker, but I didn't get to stand in line to pick my skin color before I was born. I didn't get to stand in line and pick my gender, and I don't get to change it just because I think I might want to. That's not how it works after we're born. I didn't get to pick my height because I wouldn't be 5'2½". I'd be a lot taller. But we didn't get to pick any of these things, and they shouldn't categorize us into what we are, what our message is, and how far we can achieve. Like they're saying, for example, to black voters, well, they're black, so how can they possibly get an ID? And it's so difficult for them. So we should take away all IDs when we're voting because black people can't possibly get an ID. I mean, that's the most racist, horrible statement and just completely judgmental. I can't even believe the Democrats get away with saying it. But the Republicans have also played into that. They're like, oh, we need more Republican women. Oh, we need more Republican women of color. We need more, and they want all these categories where, hey, you know what we really need to do as Republicans? We need to be fighting back. And we need to be stopping the socialist agenda or maybe even communist agenda of the Democrats, because that's really the problem. It's not about what color we are, what gender we are, whatever our background is. It's about the fact that we're doing the job. And right now, I don't think Republicans are doing the job because our only goal is to take back the majority. And taking back the majority means nothing if we don't have plans to actually stop the Democrat agenda, which is to completely tear down our system.
So power for its own sake isn't worth anything. The point of power is to make the country better, is what you're saying.
I think the point of power, if we're in the majority, it should be to restore our country back to the people. And it's the people have been robbed for decades.
I'm a little confused by what you just said, though. You're saying, I thought you did a pretty good job explaining it, that people should be judged on what they say, what they do, who they are as people, and not on the color of their skin.
That's right.
Or their biological sex. And yet I keep reading you described as a hater, as a racist. I mean, do you mean what you just said?
Absolutely. And all my personal friends and family members and every person that knows me knows I mean what I say.
So why are they calling you a hater for calling for colorblindness?
Well, the media, they figured out a really good playbook, and they perfected it on President Trump over the past 4 years. They know that they can create a character out of someone and present this character they've created and present it to the American people, and they play it over and over and over. So what they do is they do a news story, and then every single other news publication repeats the news story, and they pump it out there until it saturates the market. So it's just like sales. So
let's, in case our viewers have been living in Belgium without American TV and haven't seen an example of what you're describing, I just want to put a short, and pull your earpiece out so you don't hear it, but this is a montage of, I think, of what you're talking about. Here it is.
The message that this sends is that the Republican Party and its leadership, Kevin McCarthy, could not outright divorce itself from the lunacy of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not only the lunacy, but the danger.
Marjorie Taylor Greene endorsed or expressed support for the idea of executing Democratic members of Congress.
When you look at, like the Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's fundraised very successfully off the controversy surrounding her QAnon beliefs. When QAnon believers become legitimized as politicians, I imagine that contributes to the movement's ability to generate more money and to some extent just normalize them.
BOLO acronym means be on the lookout. QAnon kook Marjorie Taylor Greene forming a new group for the fringe right called America First Caucus.
I don't know why that makes me laugh, but kook. Okay, let me just ask you not about the substance of what they're saying. And again, if our viewers are interested, they can look it up, I guess.
Sure.
But how does that affect you? Like, everyone says, oh, I don't care about media coverage. But, I mean, do you care? Does that wound you? Does it affect your life when you go home at night? I mean, like, what do you think of that?
Well, it was shocking to me.
Yeah.
So first off, when all these news stories come out, it made me extremely angry. It made my husband angry.
Yep.
My kids very angry because this is their mom. My mom and dad, everybody that knows me, were very upset. And they're like, this is not who you are. And then so I went through weeks of all my personal friends and family sending me every single article they saw, which was filling up my, like, all of my text messages. And I was like, guys, I'm trying not to look at this stuff. And y'all are sending it to me mad. They're so mad because they're like, I can't believe they're saying all this. And I'm going, hold on, I'm trying to block it all out. Yeah, so it was a lot.
Let me just say, I can relate to that.
Yeah, I bet you can. Yeah.
So were you able to block it out?
Yes. You want to know why? I know exactly who I am. And I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And if I had all of my friends and family and everyone that knows me on these news stories saying that garbage about me, then I think the country should be concerned. And then I think I would be hurt, right? But
Yeah.
you've never seen any of my friends or family or anybody that really knows me. As a matter of fact, none of those people have gone on there, and they wouldn't, because they're disgusted at what they've seen the media do. And
What about your constituents? Do they care what the Washington Post thinks, or
No.
the Cuomo kid on CNN, or
No.
does any of that penetrate?
Tucker, I have to tell you, the media has done a terrible thing to themselves. And I really, I mean this, I think it's the saddest thing, because we have something amazing, the freedom of press. It is incredible. There are so many countries that have government-controlled media and news, right? And here we are in America, where we're given this great gift, freedom of press, where the media can put out the truth and let people know about real things happening, and they can do it, and they have the freedom to do so, but they don't. They have an agenda, and they play the Democrat agenda. As a matter of fact, all they are is the mouthpiece of the Democrat Party. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. They're Democrat activists. They really are.
I think that's fair. I mean, I've been in it my whole life. I can confirm that is true. So I'm not going to play the clip of all your colleagues, repeating what Don Lemon said. But I have to ask you, as someone who works in the building every day in the Capitol, describe your interactions with Democratic members of Congress day to day.
Okay. Well, most of them, actually, I'd say almost all of them, have never talked to me before, never said hello. We've never had conversations.
At all?
Nope, not at all. They don't know me. They don't know maybe what I like to do. They would have no idea anything about my life. They've only judged me based on all of these news articles.
So if you pass Hakeem Jeffries, that guy's an idiot, but whatever, maybe a nice guy, I don't know him, you pass him in the hallway, he doesn't say, hey, Marjorie Taylor Greene?
No. Oh, gosh, no. No, none of them do.
They don't acknowledge you.
Oh, no, they see me, and they look at me, and they always have these looks on their faces, which is usually very amusing to me.
What kind of looks?
Well, it's anything from like, oh, there she is, like, oh, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene, or to straight up hatred, like stare down hatred.
Really?
And then some of them can't even make eye contact with me because I think they're maybe a little intimidated by me. But
even though you're 5'2".
Yeah, even though I'm 5'2".
But you can lift 300 pounds, I read.
I can, yeah. But I think the thing is they're not used to someone like me. I don't care what the media has to say. I could care less. And I actually think it's sad that people don't even listen to the media anymore. They don't listen to the news.
No,
they don't
they
believe them. They're like the boy that cried wolf too many times. And then I also think it's sad that even though I disagree with Democrats and their policies, I'm not used to working in a work environment where people are so hateful that you can't even work together to accomplish something. But you're so hateful because of what you've read on the news, but yet you've never talked to me before. And guess what? Neither has most of those people in the media. They've never interviewed me.
That's so interesting. Have you talked to any Democrats since you've been there?
Not well. Oh yeah, I talked to AOC. I challenged her to debate me on her Green New Deal.
What was she like?
Oh well, first off, she was just completely. I don't know what her emotion was, but she was like, kind of like a high school student. You're like, have you even read it? And I said, well, yeah, I've read most of it. And she's like, well, how can you even ask me to debate the Green New Deal if you haven't even read it? And she's very,
hand gesturing.
Oh, yes, hand gesturing. And I said, oh, okay, I'll finish reading it, and then we'll debate, right? We'll debate the Green New Deal and the economic policy, because here's the issue. I'm a business owner. I've signed paychecks. I've created jobs. I've worked very hard building our company. I built another company that was a gym, and I know what that's like to build the economy and create jobs. And your Green New Deal is completely the opposite, and you don't understand it at all because you've never owned a business. As a matter of fact, you've never had long-term employment anywhere. And therefore, your Green New Deal is going to destroy our economy and destroy jobs. So I'd like for us to debate about this and how it's going to affect our country and the future of our economy. And she was like, just very offended, just completely offended that I would talk to her. Oh, yes. Yes, childish. Childish.
Were you standing in the House?
Yes. Right down there in the chamber in front of the speaker's desk.
She sighs a lot, it sounds like.
She reminds me of my two daughters. Well, actually, I think they speak much better than she does. Just, I think she was very triggered at the fact that I'd walked right up to her and asked her to debate me. Because most of the time, Republicans and Democrats don't even talk to each other in there, unless there's like a little bit of back and forth on a question. But there's no discussion whatsoever. So she said, well, you want to put it on pay-per-view or on national television. I said, yes, I want as many Americans to see it as possible because they deserve to know what you have to say about the Green New Deal, and they deserve to know what I have to say about the Green New Deal. It's good for our country, and we owe it to the people to do this. And she said, well, this, and she did her hands, and she's talking about the chamber. She said, this is where public debate occurs. I said, okay, fine, we'll do it in here. And she said, and on C-SPAN. It's like, okay, C-SPAN. So I said, all right, then I'll finish reading it, and then we'll set it up.
Are you gonna?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You're always welcome to do it on our show, by the way. You have a standing invitation.
I would love to, Tucker.
You and Sandy Cortez, anytime.
Yes, Sandy.
Well, that's amazing. Okay, so that's the sum total of your interactions with Democratic members.
That's the most conversation I've had.
It's the arm waving with Sandy from Westchester.
And the eye rolling.
And the sighing. I love that. Tell me about your interactions, personal interactions with Republican members of Congress. What's that been like?
There are many of them that I really like.
Really?
Yes.
Who do you like?
Okay, so I absolutely love members in the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. I think they have the greatest intentions. And then there's some members in my freshman class that I like a lot. I like Diana Harshberger from Tennessee, Kat Kamek. There's a whole list of people that I really like. Mary Miller from Illinois, she's a great person. So I've gotten to know people on a friendship basis there. And there's other members. My Georgia delegation, there's a lot of the men. They've been great to me on a personal level. So I have a lot of relationships, and people don't realize that. They think that everybody hates her, But
so you don't feel like an outcast when you're with other Republicans necessarily in the House?
No, but I also think it's important for me to say I wouldn't care if I was an outcast.
Right.
Because that's not what I'm there for. I very much have and I say it all the time, people over politicians. I'm not there to make friends. I'm not there to be in the club. I'm not there to feel like I'm part of the gang. That's nice and all, and it's good to have good working relationships. That's important. I know that's important, and I believe in it. But I'm there for a purpose because I believe Congress has failed America, is failing America, and Republicans need to be held accountable just like Democrats do. And Republicans need to do what they say they're going to do instead of just continuing to say it, because the truth is Republican voters and donors are sick and tired and fed up with weak Republicans that never accomplish what they claim they're going to do. And they vote for them and they donate, and they vote and they donate. But what I've been hearing over and over again from big donors all the way down to the sweetest people that can't afford to donate but just vote because they know it's their civic duty and they're just good people, is they are very much upset and done with the Republican Party right now. And you want to know something?
I think that's right.
I think that's tragic because I hate to lose. Tucker, I hate to lose. I don't want to lose our country, and I don't want to see the party that I affiliate myself with fail people, and I don't want to see people be disappointed, and I don't want to see people lose their hopes and their dreams and think that their children or their grandchildren or their great-grandchildren have no chance.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now. And so I want Republicans to win, but I also want them to fight, and I want them to do it better. And I want them to actually deliver on the things they say they're going to do. And I want the people to love them for it. So I'm not against anyone. I'm there because I want us to actually do it. Because the threat against us is overwhelming, truly overwhelming. If the Democrats can pass the infrastructure plan, guess what? The Green New Deal is in there. And you know what happens then? If we turn our entire country over to electric vehicles operate on batteries.
Right.
And you know who dominates the battery market? China. Haven't we learned our lesson with China? It's like we should have learned, but we're going to hand over the ability for us to drive cars and trucks and depend on China for our batteries that operate the cars and trucks. We're going to turn our entire federal fleet over to cars and trucks that operate on batteries so that China can be in control of that. Are we really going to trust China, the country that has stolen from us, spied on us, and has no intention of accomplishing these climate goals that AOC and now Joe Biden and everybody wants to accomplish? No, they want world domination. And then, you know what? China's holding a grudge. They're mad at us because President Trump, he was definitely hurting their economy and pulling jobs back and American business back to our country where they belong.
This is why they took you out immediately. Did you think about leaving after you lost your committee assignment?
No, absolutely not.
Were you surprised by how fast? It almost felt like, I mean, given the number of members of Congress who I have personally interviewed in 30 years who said like, some stuff pretty freaking far out, to be honest, given the fact that, you know, the head of the committee that oversees Wall Street just went and incited violence in the streets. They went after you. It felt like they did that because of your message, obviously. Mm-hmm. Were you surprised by the quickness of it?
I was surprised, but at the same time, I feel very convicted and resolved, so I'm not intimidated by it. And there was something I knew, is as soon as I lost those committees, I was like, thank goodness. Gosh, what a waste of time. Why do I want to sit for hours on a committee and listen to their garbage where nothing I say, nothing I do, no resolution I introduce can change any of it? I just have to listen to it, and I will be able to accomplish nothing. But I've been able to accomplish a lot more being kicked off of my committees. And that has meant more to me, being able to achieve and move forward, than sitting there on a committee with a title and saying, I'm on this committee or that committee. It's like, who cares?
What do you make of Gates?
Bill Gates?
Matt Gates.
Oh, Matt Gates.
Bill Gates, the newly single Bill Gates.
Yeah, somebody sent me his book, his climate book.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, without even getting into that and his plans for the globe, what do you make of Matt Gates?
Well, here's what I've looked at. There's not one woman, not even a fake woman, not even an actress coming out and accusing him of anything. Brett Kavanaugh, he had women coming out telling stories, right?
Yeah.
Governor Cuomo, plenty of women, 9 or more. I mean, I don't even know what number we're at, coming out and telling stories. But Matt Gates, there's not one woman out there in the news saying, he did this, he did that.
But he's a sex trafficker. I read that.
That's what the news said. Yeah. They say things about me, too. So here's what I think. He's been beat up in the news. There's no women accusing him. If there's no women out there accusing him, it's a bunch of lies. And there's definitely something there. Okay, he's been a single guy for many years. Who really cares? Who really cares? But there's no women accusing him of terrible sexual misconduct. Therefore, it doesn't exist. Until the women are out there saying it doesn't exist. Here's what I know about him. He cares about...
But the DOJ is leaking on background that he's a sex trafficker. They haven't charged him. He's a sitting member of Congress. He was elected to that seat from North Florida. What do you think of the Justice Department, people with guns and subpoena power, destroying a sitting member of Congress with no evidence? Are you comfortable with that standard?
Is this the same Department of Justice that just invaded Rudy Giuliani's house and took all of his cell phones and laptops and don't care anything about Hunter Biden's laptop? Is this the same Department of Justice that pursued the Russian collusion conspiracy lies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think about that.
That's dark.
I think it's...
So you think Gates is going to stay in the Congress? Do you like him personally? Do you think he's smart?
I
Do you
do.
agree with his message?
I do. I want him to stay in there, and I want him to continue to fight. I think the good thing about Matt is we're teaming up to do this America First rally tour, and the reason why is we've gotten so fed up and disgusted with the media, and we could care less. And I think America First policies are the only way to save our country. I do. I'm fully bought in on it. I know it works. I've seen President Trump outline it. I want to add to it. We need to reduce our debt. It's ridiculous. We're like a sinking ship. But I think if we pursue aggressively and strongly America First policies, there's a chance we can turn this around, and I think it's worth fighting for. And so, yeah, I hope he stays and fights. And I think it's garbage. If they're leaking stuff out, they're only leaking out what the other guy is saying. But again, he's a guy, and there's no women claiming sexual misconduct. So
You're good at looking at the fundamentals of things, I notice.
I like to look at the basic truth and just not maybe what Don Lemon or...
That's Mr. Lamont to you.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Lamont says.
I want to read some of your tweets.
Okay.
Because I like them, and because I'm old, I'm going to put my glasses on. You don't need to respond to this because you already did, but I just want to read it for the record. Just for the record, he wrote, I've never hired Frank Luntz, nor do I participate in any of his sessions. Nothing against the guy. I just don't think moderate Democrats should be advising the GOP. So good. Okay, how about this? Any Republican who supports pediatric transgender hormone surgery or treatment is supporting child abuse. Well, that seems self-evidently true. Why would any Republican support that?
I don't know. I don't know why they exist in our country, period. I can't comprehend why there are pediatric gender clinics where parents are taking their children in saying, oh, my daughter thinks that she's a boy. Well, how old is she, ma'am? She's 6 years old. He's 6 years old. And they're actually pursuing therapies and hormone treatments and possibly surgeries. It's really mutilation. I can't comprehend it at all. I don't know how we're in a place where we're denying that there's only two genders, male and female, when the chromosomes clearly say it, and the Democrats, the party of science, and we're supposed to trust the science, right? I don't know
Wait,
why.
so you're saying that biological sex is identifiable with a blood test because it exists on the chromosomal level? That's like
Yes.
the most basic level, right?
Right.
So when you come out there and you put up a sign that says, I think your sign said two genders, and people go bananas and call you a hater, a QAnon conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Why do you
Two
think it
genders.
makes them so mad?
Well, they want the lie. They just want the lie because the lie serves the policy. It's
Right.
all about pressing and pushing and shoving the lie out there so much and then saying, shame on you, you're a homophobe if you say anything bad about this. If you say there's only two genders, you're a terrible person and you hate gay people. You know what? I don't care what anybody does in their bedroom. It is none of my business.
Yeah.
I don't want to know, to be honest with you. And I don't judge people on that. I could care less. I just don't even care.
Right.
What I do care about is the fact that I do not want men.
Sorry, one of my producers was a personal interest in this, just said, it has nothing to do with being gay. This is a totally separate category.
Right.
Well, how do these things get conflated?
Because they need it that way. They have to blur the lines together and blur it together and mix it together so they can get people fired up to fight for the message. They have to push the trans people in with the gay people so that they can have a team to help fight this issue, when really most of the gay people are like, we really don't want the T's on our team, okay? We don't want to be
I have
involved in
heard
this.
that many times.
Yeah, that's what all my gay friends tell me. They're not interested.
I've heard
They don't,
that many
yeah,
times.
and you know what? Here's the deal with Marie New Person. I call her New Person. She's my Democrat colleague that lives across the street, across the hall. I never met her before. I told you, I don't know any of these Democrats. And I found out that I had a Democrat living across the street from me, across the hall. I say across the street. See, in the South, when we meet our new neighbors, we usually bring them a plate of cookies or brownies. And
would she eat your brownies, do you think?
Oh, God, I have no idea. But they're delicious.
I bet.
So anyways, I found out on Twitter because she tagged me in her little tweet where she showed my nameplate and then planted the trans flag across the hall and then with her hands like that. And I was like, what is this going on? Come to find out, it's all over the news that I attacked her child, who is he's a biological boy who identifies as a girl. Come to find out, he's a man. He's like in his early 20s. So the truth is, he's a man that calls himself a woman that wants to go in bathrooms like where my daughters would go in the bathroom. Okay, this is bad. I also don't want any men in my bathroom. I have the right to privacy. All women do. All girls do. We also have a right to our sports. We fought for that. It's a big accomplishment to have women's sports. I have a daughter that's on scholarship. She's a D1 athlete. She earned it. She shouldn't have to compete with men, biological men in her sport. So Maria, her name is Newman. I call her Maria New Person because she doesn't believe in gender. So
that is pretty funny.
Yeah, it works for me. I'm trying to go with what she wants, right? I'm respecting her. So Marie New Person, or Maria, whatever her name is, New Person, I did my little video back and put my sign up so that she can understand that, yeah, great, have your trans thing and stuff, but over here on my side of the street, we stay with the two genders, male and female, because we trust the science. That's what the chromosomes say. So imagine the whole world explodes and the media says that I'm attacking her child, who's an adult, biological male, roughly the same age as my daughters, who are biological girls and know it. So here's the issue. Why are we in a place where this is an actual argument in Congress? I could not believe I had to stoop down to that level and play those games with Democrats. And then I can't believe that we are living in a country where child abuse is being embraced and promoted, where there are pediatric gender clinics. It's an immorality, it's an evil, it's abhorrent. It's the same as abortion, where they're ripping apart their limbs inside a woman's uterus. It's hideous. And I won't be silent about it. I'll fight it all day long. I don't care how many names they call me. And the truth is, most gay people agree. They're like, no, we shouldn't be doing this to kids. And no, we shouldn't be denying gender.
Yeah.
Because even there's a candidate running for governor in California, and I don't think he's gone all the way with the surgery. So sometimes plain dress up is just plain dress up.
So I want to read another tweet, which is germane to what's going on in the news right now. So apparently we're going to be sending, for reasons that are not at all clear, billions of dollars to the countries in Central America that are offloading their poorest citizens onto our economy. Nothing against those countries, but it's not clear why we're sending them money. And you make that point in this tweet, quote, "We must stop giving billions in foreign aid to countries whose people are illegally invading our country. After decades of trillions in foreign aid, these countries shouldn't have any problems. We should demand an audit of how our money has been spent, and they stop invading us." I guess that tweet kind of explains itself. I guess I just want to thank you for writing it.
Yeah.
But why aren't more Republicans saying that?
I have no idea. It's because it's what I told you in the beginning. So most of them haven't ever owned a business. So we get audited every year. We have to. That's part of bonding for our company. We have to be audited. So we're used to that. We're accountable, right?
Right.
Okay. If we are giving trillions of dollars of our money that our people work so hard for, if we respect our people and how hard they work and their taxes that they pay to us and trust us, members of Congress, that we're supposed to do something good with it. But yet, for decades and decades, we just write checks to South America and Central America and Mexico and over here and over there. And we're just sending away our people's hard-earned tax dollars, but yet we aren't holding them accountable for that money. I think every single country owes us an audit on here's how the money's spent. over all these years, they have to show us. Because there is no country in South America, Central America, Mexico, or all over the world that can convince me, oh, you have to take our people because we're suffering under world global warming and climate changes, or we're suffering because of war and we just can't do anything to help them. But you, America, open your doors and take our people in, and shame on you if you don't do it. And no, if you want to send us your criminals back, we don't want them. We don't want the gang members and the horrible people that chop people up and sell drugs. No, no, no. Don't you send us those people back. They're ours, but don't send them back. But yet we want your money. Keep it coming. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
masochism. We hate ourselves. Only a country that hates itself would do that.
No, Congress hates. The United States Congress hates its people. And that is how Congress treats Americans. That's the problem. They have forgotten who they serve.
I want to play you one last soundbite. This is a moment that got almost no attention. It really stuck out at me because one of the core foundational positions of the American government is that we're never going to use troops domestically. We're not going to pretend, we're not going to play around with that, we're not going to make jokes about it. This is a military run by civilians who are elected because it's a democracy.
Right.
In March, the Guam National Guard, a detachment of the National Guard from Guam, which is some kind of colony we got during the Second World War. I don't know why we still have colonies, but I guess we do. They sent a detachment of National Guard to your office, and here's what it looked like.
Hey, how's it going? I have my congressman from Guam here. Wanted to pay a visit. Congressman Green will probably be coming back in 20 minutes. We'll probably circle back. This is Taylor, her legislative director. She just wanted to come on say hi.
Hi guys. Hey, thank you guys so much for all that you do. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for keeping us safe.
Okay, so that's the fake congressman from Guam, the non-voting delegate from this colony that we. And by the way, why does the left support colonialism? I've never understood that. I'm against colonialism. I'm against having colonies. Okay, if it's not a state, you don't get a place in Congress. Anyway, bottom line, they took soldiers to your office.
Yes.
They kind of played it off as a joke. I didn't think it was funny in the slightest. What did you think?
I didn't think it was funny either. So here he is. He's not an actual member of Congress, marching down National Guard troops to my office. And I didn't think that was funny. I'm really tired of being treated that way. They protect Maxine Waters, who goes and provokes riots. They protect Eric Swalwell, who totally, whatever he does with China. They protect Ilhan Omar, who clearly doesn't understand what Congress or what country she's serving. She's really serving, I don't know what countries. And then we got this guy marching down members of the military on my office. I didn't take that lightly. I found it very offensive. And here's why. I love our military. My dad was a Vietnam War veteran. My husband served in the Navy. I think these are the greatest people in our country. I love them. I'm thankful for them. And what is happening to them, for them to be treated that way, to where they have to come down to my office, for them to be forced to surround the Capitol because Nancy Pelosi is imagining some invisible QAnon army is going to invade the Capitol at any time. For members of our military to be taught woke, progressive, critical race theory constantly and told them that they have to denounce anything to do with Trump or anything conservative or anything, or they can't serve in the military. This is mistreatment of the bravest and the most courageous people, men and women who are willing to die to protect our freedoms. So I didn't take that lightly.
It sounds like Nancy Pelosi believes a lot more in QAnon than you do.
I think she does.
The QAnon army.
So does the media. They clearly believe in QAnon.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, I really enjoyed that conversation. I'm so glad that we talked. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. I'm grateful that you came. You didn't seem crazy. You seemed pretty moderate, actually.
Oh, wow.
And
thank
sensible.
you.
And anyway, thank you. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you, Tucker. I'm glad we did it.
Appreciate it. That was Marjorie Taylor Greene in the state of Georgia. The show is called Tucker Carlson Today. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Fox Nation. And of course, we'll see you weeknights 8 p.m. on the Fox News Channel.